Welcome to that spiritual, actual, factual answers to questions you're asking. You find them inside you, recite you, reciting the records. Akashic, we laughing, we drafting the passion to vary. It's time for that comedy, dramedy, all of the fanciest, catchiest acronyms. Listeners, listen, we traveling. Consciousness always unraveling. The reading you're having is mapping you back to your natural habitat. Abracadabra, it's magicless, fascinating. To top it off, the host, all the classiest. Now, what were you asking for? All of the answers? What? All the answers.
Everything Everywhere All at Once.
Big day for that movie in the Oscars. Apparently they got all the nominations.
Wow.
It led the world in nominations.
That's exciting. Go Consciousness. Consciousness for the win.
Yeah, that's true. Movies about consciousness taking over.
All right, you've got to tell the people and myself about how did we not ever talk about this, but you sent us that link.
Oh, this event that this thing I just did. All right. Well, so there's a story behind it, so I'm just going to lead up to it with everything. It started when the whole thing with the theater that I was working at that exploded and imploded and all that shit went down, which you have heard about in previous podcasts with toxic behavior with the theater. That was bad. And as a result, I ended up talking to a person at the newspaper who reached out to me because she got a hot tip that there was a story.
Oh, shit.
And she reached out to me and we started talking about that. But then we became friends as a result. Like it's a person that I've known but not really known. And we just became friendly. And she was like, so then she said, I have this weird idea for a thing that I pitched to my editors and they wanted to do it, but they actually wanted to make a video and put it online as well. And she was trying to get behind the brain of Elon Musk.
Okay.
Like, how do we, his tweets are just insane.
Totally.
And they're all over the place, kind of like our former resident of the White House. So she wanted to do a monologue composed entirely of his tweets and then give it to an actor and talk about because we understand the idea of finding motivation, right? Even if we make it up, it's something, she was like, she wanted to work with an actor on just analyzing motivation. And then the idea was to take that one step further. And we actually made it into the Muskalogue.
So it was an audio or a visual?
It's a visual.
It's a video.
It's on their website as an article with an attached YouTube video. Okay.
And the video is you performing his tweets as if you're him.
Yeah, somewhat. Yeah. So the idea, and again, this was the thing where it's like, I wasn't going to try and imitate him or be Elon Musk.
Yeah.
I was going to, perform his thoughts as though I were someone saying these things.
Who could invest in the words.
So I kind of was doing a little, I was dressed a little like he might be dressed, but I wasn't doing a Dutch accent or whatever he is.
Yeah. Is he Dutch?
Belgian or Dutch or some... I don't know. They own a diamond mine. That's where he gets his original money, is from blood diamonds.
Sweet.
It's even better. It makes him the perfect supervillain. Not only is he a supervillain, he started with blood diamonds. So that's pretty awesome. So anyway, it went live on Monday, and you can find it on the SF Chronicle website. Just look up the Muskalogue at SF Chronicle. Lily Janiak is the author of the article.
Oh, yeah. Good old Lily Janiak. You go, Lily. Fucking doing it.
Go, Lily. It was fun. We had a great time. We just shot it here in my home studio. It's pretty janky, but that was part of the intent, was to not have it be all super polished, but kind of weird and awkward, which it very much is.
That's really fun. Did you end up sharing with her the hot goss from the previous show?
Wait, which hot goss?
Wasn't the whole purpose of she contacted you to talk about the hot goss from the terrible toxic show?
Oh, yeah. I mean, we talked about that, and she's working on an article. It's
a different thing.
Yeah, that is a separate thing. It was because of her working on this article that we became friendly, and she was like,
I'm now switching. You did this other Elon thing.
Yes. So I did share with her my whole story of what happened, and it's part of an ongoing piece of basically investigative journalism.
About that company?
About that theater, yeah.
Oh, shit.
Because it ain't the only thing.
Yeah, tell me about it.
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah, you know.
That's great, though. I love hearing that, because when shit fuckers get taken down, I don't hate it.
Nope. Say something.
Yeah. If you see something, say something.
Well, so now I'm out in front of two things where it's like, like in a sense, someone's like, that's dangerous criticizing Elon Musk. I'm like, I'm not on Twitter. I don't give a shit.
Also, what's he going to do to you?
What's he going to cancel me from Twitter? Oh, well.
Oops.
From his burning house. Yeah, I would love it if he got excited about what I did enough to be mad at me.
Yeah, that's highly unlikely. It could happen because he's in the Bay Area.
I guess. Yeah, I mean, it's weird, vaguely possible.
I kind of love it.
That would be great if we got like a hate comment on YouTube about it. Oh, I'm going to go look at the YouTube comments.
You have to remember, anytime you do things like this, you have to mention the podcast.
Yeah, I couldn't in that context. It wasn't there.
Sure you can. You always can.
You're right. Sorry. People, you should go on the YouTube video and then mention, oh my God, this is so funny. Cassidy is funny. He's also funny on this podcast. Do us a favor.
I just would have been like, yeah, this is such a fun project. I love talking about this. You know, last week on my podcast, my co-host and I were talking about
consciousness and how people need to be motivated. Right.
It's so easy. Marketing. Cassidy Brown.
God damn it. I'm working on it. Maybe I'm not. I'm not even working on it.
I mean, I have a little bit of a story about you from It's All Love. It's All Love.
Oh, I can't. Maybe I can't wait to hear.
It's not a story. It's the teeniest thing. I was your version of what happened at the psychic fair.
Oh.
In terms of getting people to come say words versus experience of what you were doing at the psychic fair. We're different. That's all.
Yeah.
Because she was like, you could come over here and talk to them, or go over here and do this, or get up and do this, or go over there.
I talked to everybody.
Oh, you did?
Yeah. I walked over and talked to a lot of people, and some of them were like, yeah, I don't really have anything right now. And they're like, okay.
What else can you do?
Right. Yeah. I mean, maybe I could have interviewed them instead of saying, do you have a question? That would be the only difference. But I actually did go and introduce myself to most people, not everybody.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just don't, I'm teasing you a little bit only because you're not as self-oriented and self-promoty as I am. No,
I get shy for sure.
That's sweet.
Yeah.
People probably like that about you.
I'm not pushy.
Yeah. There's a sweetness to that.
I'm not an 8.
No. And you also was going to...
I mean, I could analyze that in terms of being a 3, to be honest. The 3-ness of me would be like, is this the right way to do this?
Right.
Right. Oh, it would be, I need only the perfect version of this approach.
Well, the approach does matter. You're right about that.
Yeah. But it stops me because it's about managing my image. So like, oh, I would look stupid if I did it this way. So I'm not going to do it at all.
Right. Got you. Yeah. I was also thinking about it. This is the thing. I was in class today for human design, and I was thinking about Rami actually, and probably you. I don't know your chart actually as well as I know Rami's chart, but collective circuitry, the way it's framed is when you have a lot of gates and channels that are in what's called the collective circuit, we would say you're a very collective person. And collectives are about sharing, just for sharing. Whereas if you have tribal circuitry, you're like, I'm saying, and anything I'm doing is about protecting and taking care of the tribe. And as an individual, it's all about you. So sometimes collective people are the people who get the least amount of things done because they're like, you have a story and I have a story and we share them with each other.
Right.
End of experience. And then other people are like, did you do the thing though? Did you put it on the webs? Do people know? Are they coming to the... You're like, I don't know. We were just chatting.
Yeah.
We just chatted about it because sharing is the whole MO of the collective circuitry, which is very sweet.
Yeah. Yeah. Self-promotion is a whole other thing.
Yeah.
Because that means me. It says, look at me.
Right. Yeah. And that's hard. Well, I was talking about this with someone too we were talking about, I had a client and we were looking at he had defined throat. And sometimes in order to talk about something that's defined, I'll explain what it's like for it to be not defined. And I was talking about how surprised I've been over the years to discover how many actors have open throat. I would think, my first thought would be like, oh, they have a lot to say. So they want to talk. They want to be heard talking. So they must have a consistent fixed way of communicating. But it actually makes so much more sense when you think about it. If you have no fixed, reliable way of communicating, there's no one way that you express yourself, you're going to be really drawn to somebody handing you the words to say.
Right. Yes.
Because you're like trying to figure out how to talk, but you're not, you feel uncertain about it and it's inconsistent and maybe you're invisible. That's the not self of the open throat. I'm invisible if I don't talk, but I'm not sure how to talk. So I don't talk. So I always feel invisible.
Yes. I do not have that. I am defined throat. Yeah.
I know. But if we look at some of the people we know who are like acting, open throat.
Interesting.
I know, isn't it?
Yeah, because people can see them, can project onto them more like a vessel for their words or for the words that need to be said.
And they need it more. They like need to have words given to them to say.
Yeah.
And then when because it's so satisfying finally to have words to say that are a way of saying words. To not be always trying to figure out like, how you and I are just like, I know what to say and I say it, blah, 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 blah.
For real.
Let's see. Let me give you an update. So let's see. You had...
Still doing your show?
Dude, this is why I'm trying to gather my thoughts. I'm doing like 70 shows.
Oh, okay.
It's officially become a little too much.
Welcome to Katieland.
So
Can't do 2 things. Got to do 6.
Oh my God, for real. So Mary Poppins is running. We have 2 more weekends. Cool. It's going well. I had a big vocal improvement this week where I figured out how to place things in my body differently in the room and I couldn't hear myself. So I was pushing and then I fixed it and that felt very satisfying.
Nice.
I just booked another play. I booked a play.
Jesus.
I know. It's a Anna Devere Smith play who I love her writing. Well, it's really an interview show. So she didn't really...
Is it Fires? It's not Fires in the Mirror. It's a newer one.
No, it's the new one called Let Me Down Easy.
Ooh.
And it's interviews with people, but like high-ranking people. Now she's like connected with a different level of human, you know?
Right.
Anyway, it's pretty freaking cool. And it's a monologue show. So it's like I'll get to play 4 characters and they each have a monologue and that's it.
And is it just you or is it you and 3 other people?
Yeah, me and 3 other people. We each play like 4 people. Which is great because then the rehearsal schedule can be very flexible.
Yes.
It's like you come and do your monologues and go home. We don't have to everybody be here all the time, which is nice. Anyway, so I'm actually just I literally can't even conceive of, does their calendar actually work in my reality yet? So I have to like sit and do the math. It's hard for me to do that. That's like it's like really hard for me to figure that when there's a lot of moving times, I have to like really try hard to like get that in my... Anyway, so I'm probably going to say yes, and I just have to see if the calendar works. So there's that. And then this weekend, the stand-up show I produce, where I have 2 guys from Orlando coming up to do the show, it happens on Sunday. So we're in full-on emails, postcards, posting, sending, going to shows and handing stuff out, that whole thing. Then February 5th, which is the following Sunday, my storytelling show that Rami's in, who's coming down from New York to do this, well, to hang out and also do it. That happens. So like I'm in full on producer mode with that and I'm telling a story in that show. And then we just decided this a couple days ago because why not? On February 17th, which is the day before my birthday, I'm going to do 40 minutes of stand up to open up for my buddy Alex at the theater, the Improv Theater, who's going to do, it kills me. This is so cool. He does a 40-minute improvised rap musical about historical figures. So he'll take a suggestion on any historical figure from the audience and create a full musical wrapped about them on the spot.
Just himself?
Just himself.
Wow.
And he plays characters and he sings, he does all kinds of shit.
And he just has to know about the person in his head. He
knows that much about...
He's one of those people.
Historical figures that he can rap improvisationally.
Wow.
About I'm just like, I can't wait to see it.
That was when I used to do improv with, this is my name drop. Sorry, you're going to want to pick this up. When I used to be in a troupe with Anthony Viniziali, who is the sort of head of freestyle, one of the people who runs Freestyle Love Supreme, which is now this big, huge international phenomenon, show in Vegas, whatever. He would just pull out of his ass as part of a scene, because in the 13th century, when they were at the end of the Byzantine Empire, Herodotus 17 was definitely saying, and you just be like, what? What? And it'd be right. And and he also can do that. He does that in raps quite often too, where it's just like, what are you doing? How does that thing? Which leads me to my current joy I'm going to share with you. It just started yesterday. I needed my brain to go somewhere else entirely, and I started listening to an improvised musical podcast called Off Book. And God damn it, it was such a joy to just hear people, really good at what they're doing. It's mostly just two people. Sometimes they'll have guests and do 2 or 3 or 4 people. And they're so good at what they do. And they're so fucking funny and also messing up because it's an improvised and they don't edit it or anything. They just start once they start and they just go and they record it and they put that up. And you're just laughing so hard because it feels very present. You know what I mean? That idea of it's why we like improv and not sketch sometimes. When improv is a little chunky and a little sloppy, it's even better.
Right, because the humanity's there.
Yeah, the humanity of like, well, I mean, this.
It's alive. Yeah.
But the genius of construction, musical construction, while still making rhymes, while keeping the coherence of the theme and the thing all at once, God, that's a whole other level.
So cool.
I want to come out and see your show then, but I can't.
You should come.
Because I'll be in rehearsal for my play.
We've been doing more musical games at our theater, doing musical improv. I mean, it's nothing like, it's not a full musical at all, but like we have a game called karaoke where you get a song. It's the karaoke track of a song and you have to know the song well enough, all the sections of it, to then rewrite it on the fly on the topic you're given.
Nice.
So we've been doing that, which is kind of like terrifying, but then you find out, oh, I can do this.
That sounds fun.
You could come anytime because there's always improv happening.
I know. And
you could guest.
Yeah, I would be super down for it. And I will the moment I know what the hell I'm doing with my life.
So so you have the thing you did already with Lily Janiak. Then you have the play about.
It's the political violence play for my friend who is directing it. I mean, it's sort of a project formed around someone wanting to direct this show. And then still on effing hold for 3 different things.
Oh, I didn't know.
They're kind of absurd how long I've been in that limbo that probably none of them will happen at this point, but I don't want to speak that into, you know what I mean? At a certain point, it's not manifesting to just say, I don't think it's going to happen.
Well.
But I do think it's going to happen. I've still held the possibility very open. Like it feels very present and true. It's just a little frustrating.
So it's 3 different companies
that are
doing shows at the same time?
2 of them would conflict, and one of them is a conflict with the current play I'm doing, sort of. So I'd love to know if the answer is no. That would free up some energy around the current play I'm doing, because they're kind of scheduling things around me with the assumption that I'm in this one that I may or may not be.
Has it been long enough that you could do the thing I do when it's been long enough?
Oh, I've done it 3 times, and I've been assured that I'm still very much in the running.
So just for the listener, what we're talking about is you can eventually email them and go, hey, any chance you have any updates?
Yeah. And I've done that multiple times and gotten multiple, not just like, yeah, but like you're like exclamation points, you know.
Oh, well, then you have a really good shot. You're going to book some of that.
I do. But like the timing, it's 6 months.
What do you mean? What is?
I have been in that state with this show for 6 months.
With one of the 3?
For 6 months.
That's a long ass time.
Yeah. It starts rehearsals in like a month and a half, you know.
The other companies, what are the other companies?
Berkeley Rep and Colorado Shakes.
Oh, fuck yes.
That would be
do
fun.
That shows.
Yeah.
Wow. I would love it if you got to do those.
Yeah. Those are both ones that I don't really have updates on. Those are like, I thought I was out of the Berkeley Rep show, and then I got an email right before the holidays saying, hey, just to let you know, we're going to resume casting after the new year. And I was like, oh, I'm still on that list?
Yeah, right.
I'd assumed I wasn't.
Can you follow up with them or no?
Yeah, it's about time.
Yeah.
I'm going to poke the bear.
And what about Colorado? Same.
Colorado, it's time to poke the bear too, because they were going to be casting through the end of January.
All right, rock on.
So, yeah.
Maybe next week you can come back and tell us what happened after you poked the bear.
Yeah.
That'll be good.
All right, back. So you have multiple shows that you are producing and acting in.
Yeah.
If the one with the monologues works out timing-wise.
Yeah.
How are you feeling about all that?
I mean, I'm very excited about the storytelling show. I'm nervous we won't have a big enough house for the stand-up show. I don't think that's going to be true, but that's where my fear is like, I'm hustling for the stand-up show right now because I need bodies in that room because these dudes are coming from out of town and I have to pay them. So like, I need people to come. So we're working hard to make that happen, but there's only so much you can do. And then it's just nerve wracking as a producer. Storytelling, I have a good feeling because the company is so big and so established and they're doing a lot of their own marketing and I'm doing a lot. So I feel like together between all of that and all the storytellers inviting their people, we'll have and they're papering some of it. So I think we'll be good there. And it's also less terrifying to me in general. Storytelling is just not as terrifying as stand-up.
Right.
Like you committing to make people laugh for an hour and a half. There's so much more pressure than committing to tell a true story or 10.
Right.
You could tell a true story and people will laugh or cry or do whatever they're going to do. But with stand-up, it's like they have to laugh the whole time or the thing is a failure.
Can we just talk about that for a sec?
Sure.
The terror of stand-up for me is, okay, with improv, we can go, hey, I did a thing. I tried. And there's a little bit of the like, look, don't judge me. This is me. This is my own personal version. I mean, I'm good at it and I can do it. But if it doesn't quite land, look, I just made that up, you guys.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's much safer.
But whereas stand-up is like, I vetted this material. I am the only one who vetted this material. I decided it was worthy. And now I lay it before you to judge and reject.
Uh-huh.
There are only two things that can happen. You can accept it and laugh, or you can reject it as a failure.
I know.
And I have to stand behind it 100%.
There you have it.
I hate that.
This is why it's not for everybody.
There's no out.
No, there's no out. That's what I love about it and hate about it. It's the pressure. You have to kill. You have to. You just have to kill. Or you die. You want to die? You don't. So you kill. Or you do your fucking best. Yeah, it's a nightmare. It's a living nightmare. It's why I don't do it more often. It's just a nightmare.
Jesus.
Our friend is here.
Oh, well, let's let them in.
Why am I doing it this time? You always do it.
Because
I'm the host still.
It's apparently on Cindy. It's someone else's account.
Well, Rami came to class on Cindy Im's thing the other day. So Cindy Im is the portal through which all wonderful humans
Another
thrive.
wonderful, wonderful actor who is a friend of a lot of our friends.
We should have Cindy Im on.
If they listen to the podcast.
Right.
Oh, that's why. Because Rami,
Can't hear you though. Oh, there it is.
I'm just going to fix this real quick.
Great.
I already did last time. I don't know why it's still.
We were wondering how both of you were coming from Cindy Im's.
It's fucking magic and shit.
I also am enjoying that you have the same glasses, Rami, but yours are red as Elle's glasses, which are blue.
Kinda, yeah, kinda.
Do you not know we're stunt doubles?
I mean, come on, look at these two. They're going to be each other's stunt doubles, depending on who's working.
But actually, literally, we're going to make us play sometime.
I think you should. Legitimately, if you got Rami's haircut, I would be confused right now.
We do have it.
Yeah, but it's a little different.
Well, it's also sleep right now.
Look, we do have different ancestors leading to slightly different hair textures. Because there's mine.
Yeah.
But the shape and design is the same, basically.
And mine's grown in right now. So otherwise I would be bald here right now too.
But you guys having different ancestors strangely still makes you have similar face shapes, skin tone, not the same ears.
No, Elle has tiny, insignificant ears.
What are yours?
What? No, I think it's the reverse. Elle has some bat wings going on.
I have bat wings that also they flap a lot. Like I wear masks and people are like, what are you saying?
For the listener, Elle's ears are made of only flesh, no cartilage, apparently.
Okay, I'm ready to go away at any time.
Okay, bye, Rami. We love you.
What's up, everybody? Rami here. I am back in New York. Today I was walking around Park Slope, which is a neighborhood in Brooklyn, in the cold, wearing my winter coat, which is a bright teal thing that looks like a sleeping bag, only fashionable. And I was feeling really nostalgic about exactly that, about walking around in that neighborhood, Park Slope, wearing that coat in the cold. And remembering, it's just something I've been doing for so long, so many times, even before I lived in New York when I would just visit. And I remember when I got the coat, I was going to visit New York in early November 2012. And there was a heat wave in the Bay Area, which is where I lived at the time. And Cassidy was going to take me to the airport. And I was like, let's take advantage of this heat. And so me and Cassidy went to Stinson Beach, which is this beautiful beach in Marin County in the Bay Area. And it's usually foggy and chilly. And it was just so hot that day that it was even hot at Stinson Beach. And I was in the waves, playing in the ocean over my head, having a great time. And if anyone knows, those of you who know the Pacific Ocean, especially in Northern California, not warm. So once again, that's a testament to like what a beautiful warm day it was. And then Cassidy drove me to the airport. I still had salt in my hair, and I was sitting waiting for my flight. I was sitting at this gate that was mostly empty, just me and this couple. And on the screen, they announced that Obama won his second term. And I think maybe the couple sitting in that gate might have been Republican, unclear, but they didn't seem particularly happy about it. And I just went, had this really internal little dance in my brain for a second. And I remembered to 4 years earlier when I was doing the electric slide in the streets outside of the chateau and screaming my head off in Chi-Chi's car as we drove with all the windows down, driving through our neighborhood in Oakland, just screaming, having an out-of-body ecstatic experience, passing other people having their own ecstatic out-of-body experiences. And then here I was 4 years later, just a little like, alone by myself, quietly sitting in that airport seat. And then I took the red eye to New York, and I arrived, and there was a nor'easter, which is, if you don't know, it is a big snowstorm. And I got myself to my friend's house in Park Slope. I dropped my stuff off, and then I went to a store in her neighborhood, Brooklyn Industries, and I bought that coat. November 2012, 10 years ago. And I've been wearing that coat ever since in the winters. And it's just been keeping me warm, and I've been having a good time. Rami's rules.
Well, this makes me think of I don't know why, but so, okay, for the listening audience, Elbeh's here.
Hi.
It's Elbeh. Elbeh's an actor friend from the Bay, now in New York, but also many other places, killing it all over the land. But Elbeh has I'm going to say it in my words, and then I want you to say it in yours.
Oh, God, okay.
Some kind of birthday, recently, past, present, future, but all of it is now. And it has a name that sounds like a thing that isn't a birthday. And it's like the Galactic Federation of 1, 2, 3, POW 4.0, your mom and gorillas. But it means it's my birthday.
That's the new name.
1, 2, 3, POW, your mom and gorillas.
All the words that just came out of Kay's mouth. I don't remember them all. There's Federation in there.
Tell us what is the correct?
The correct one, and this one also has an addendum, which, okay. It's the Intergalactic Holiday of 1, 2, 3. This year is version 4.0. 4.0. That's it. Yeah, there we go.
Intergalactic Holiday of 1, 2, 3.
Yes, version 4.0. Mm-hmm.
This is your birthday.
This is my birthday. My birthday is the Intergalactic Holiday of 1, 2, 3 because it's celebrated throughout the galaxies. And it's
January 23rd.
Boom. But you found that out. You realized that so much faster than when I was told. Like, I didn't know. Growing up, I did not know that my birthday was 1, 2, 3. And it wasn't until I think around college that I was told some of my birthday, they're like, yeah, cool, 1, 2, 3. I was like, what? They're like, what? January 20? I was like, what the fuck? My birthday's 1, 2, 3. And I got really excited. Then it became an intergalactic holiday. So
I love all of it. All of it is delightful and wonderful. I just like the confidence too with which, like, Rami introduced it to me as an idea, just without explaining. Rami is very wont in general to be like, so words. And then I'll be like, You understand, you have to contextualize all of what you just said, right? Rami will just be like, the intergalactic holiday of 123 is happening. And I'm like, you want to back up and help me out? What the fuck are you talking about?
I mean, Katie, to be fair, you say things like, well, I was talking to aliens the other day and they told me that I had to clear the star beings from the...
Yeah, but then I explain.
But what's funny about you saying that is literally last night, we were having Enneagram talks with a new friend and I said things and Rami's like, you just like...
spoke Japanese.
Yeah, you have to... So then back it up. And then another friend of mine was like, oh, you like to make sure everyone has the context. Like you like to make sure everyone. And then we talked about how 90 that was of them. And anyway, so that's funny that you're like, they give me no context. And all my people are like, Rami is the one that gives all the context.
That's so true. Rami usually does give all the context. But every now and again, I think for funsies, they'll just be like, fancy words. And I'll be like, okay, back it up. What are you saying?
That's yes.
Okay, so welcome to the podcast.
Thanks for having me.
I have a question and then I have another question. Generally, we start people here. I like to ask people like, so what does spirituality mean to you? And what's your relationship to that? What do those words mean? But also I want to ask you in particular, update us on your current acting projects. Like, what did you just finish? What are you stepping into? What's going on?
Real. Okay. You want one, do you care the order?
No.
It's actually they interplay because I feel like that's so interesting. I actually hadn't put this into words yet. Thank you for the question. Art in the Bay. I was always like, art is my activism. And then I left because I was so jaded with how much that was not overlapping as much as I wanted it to. And feeling very paralyzed in making that feel very true for myself. So, but I feel like art is my spirituality as well. It's not. But I feel like the work that I'm doing right now very much aligns with my spiritual practice and also how much that aligns with just being queer. So I'm doing a lot of queer shit on stage right now. What has been bringing me to New York, I am extremely nomadic. I am all over the place at the moment. But what has been bringing me to New York in the last, I guess, since 2021, November 2021, has been work. I came back. I was living in Mexico City until September 2020, and then came back because pandemics was happening and I couldn't thrive. And I had big universe signs. A tree fell and it was like, go back to the States. Bye-bye. And I was like, I spent like a year following the free rent. And then now I've been following work. So that is the long and the short of that logistic shit.
Real quick.
Tell me, sir.
What took you to Mexico City?
I was done at the moment. I was burnt out. I was burnt out from working 70-hour weeks as artist in the Bay. I had been in California all my life. I had been hungering for a different kind of consciousness and exposure and experience, not just exposure, like deep experience in a different consciousness for many years. I went around the country looking and then I was like, wow, everywhere is real white. What do? Oh, I leave the country. Cool. So then I chose Mexico because Spanish is the second closest to a second language that I have, or the closest to a second language. That's the words I'm looking for that I had. And I had people in Mexico City. So I chose there and it's amazing and did a lot for me. And then I needed to go. So.
Okay.
How long were you there for?
I was there for a year, like straight up a year to the day it ended up being. Like I was gone. I'm a very slow processor, but once that tree fell, I was gone in 2.5 weeks.
I hear that.
Yeah. Then normally it would be like 2 years later, Elbeh will finally make a move, but it was like, it has to happen now. So.
All right. So you've been following the work. Tell us about some of the work.
So the work that I came here for was a piece called The Hang with Taylor Mack. That happened in the January, February of 2022. And it was a jazz opera about the last few hours of Socrates' life as Socrates is hanging out with Socrates' radical fairy friends and after he's drank the hemlock. So it's a lot of philosophizing, a lot of real verbose Taylor Mack language, a lot of really brilliant Matt Ray music.
This is on screen or on stage?
This is on the stage in the New York.
Just for fun, give people a real brief thing of Taylor Mack. Because Taylor Mack is a force of
Nature.
Theatrical activism, I would say.
All of that is correct. That is the short of Taylor Mack. I mean, Taylor Mack is my favorite queer performance artist of all time, and a lot of Taylor's work deals with bringing like community making through brokenness, because Taylor witnessed one of the first AIDS walks when Judy is Taylor's pronoun, when Judy was like 14 or something like that, 13, 14. It was the first time. Judy's from Stockton, California, and it was the first time Taylor had ever seen like an out homosexual, like at least out to them. And there were thousands of them and they were all dying. And so a lot of Taylor's work has been influenced by that. I would dare to say almost all. And yeah, insanely brilliant performance, drag, queer artist, brilliant and talented and human.
I auditioned for Taylor one time, and it was not an audition. And that's it was a revolutionary moment so many years ago for me to just be in the room with somebody who said, oh, if they've sent you to me, then I know you have something. That's all. I don't need to know if you're a good actor. I need to sit down in the room with you and just see if I want to hang out with you for 3 months.
That's literally it.
It was basically what it came down to. And then I didn't get cast in that, but I didn't feel like it was a rejection of me either personally. I was just like, oh, thank you for trusting me to bring the talent, quote. And now this is about do you fit in this puzzle? And that was really lovely. Anyway.
Yeah, that's it. That's for a long time ago, because my first piece was with Taylor, English is a little tricky today because I'm on not much of the sleep. But my first piece was Lily's Revenge.
Right.
And that was in San Francisco. And that was also, one of the first times I'd heard about someone that was not auditioning people. That was like, no, this is, don't believe in auditions and just want no energy. It's and then people were like, well, then how do you cast? How do you know what you you ask people you know and care about, and then you meet them and maybe you like them and that's cool.
And you can ask them, can you play the ukulele? Yeah, great. I'm not.
You don't need to show me.
Is Taylor is known for producing stuff too, casting things that they are in?
I would say it's funny. I wouldn't be like, that is a Taylor calling card, but I guess that's, Taylor.
Creator.
Yeah, is a creator and gathers the people and doesn't
Taylor perform in it sometimes?
And Taylor is a performer. That's a central piece of Taylor's work. But Taylor's also a writer, and Taylor is also, a maker of all the things.
Anyway, back to Elle. Sorry, I just wanted to give a little context.
So I did that piece, that Socrates jazz opera, The Hang, last year. Then stayed in New York for a hot minute, and then the things I'm working on now are another piece with Taylor called The Bark of Millions, which is 54 songs, one representing every year since Stonewall. And every song is dedicated in a celebration of, or not I shouldn't say celebration of. It's dedicated to a queer icon throughout history. But that can be very famous ones to people you've never, that can be Marsha P. Johnson, or it can be this sweet queer that runs a salon in Myanmar that Taylor met when Judy was traveling there. It's very much.
Wait a minute. So is Judy their pronoun?
Yes, Judy is Taylor's pronoun. Yes.
Some more punk rock queer shit right there.
Yeah.
Toss a little wrench in the works.
I love it. My brain just had a tiny little orgasm in the middle of itself.
That's what Taylor wants with Judy. Wanted something that was that you even if you're trying to be sassy about it, it's gonna effeminize you. You're gonna be Judy, who has a pronoun Judy, you have to roll your eyes or whatever, and probably do a limp wrist. But also it's a gift. It's a gift that you can use or not, is what Taylor says. So I will tell Judy that your brain orgasmed, and that will be happy making.
You're doing so well moving in and out of the pronoun and the name.
Practice.
Practice. On that topic, I just wanted to point out that it's on your signature, and I just wanted to explicate that idea that you like to use they, them, and she, her in equal amounts in equal measure.
Oh.
But Is that asks a balance as opposed to a preponderance?
Yes, and as of I think last week was the first time I finally introduced. I've been like weighing like actually all pronouns in rotation, which could be like they, she, he, and anything else that you'd want. I would think primarily it would land
Judy?
Judy. I think it would primarily land in they, she, he, but they, he, she, they, but the rotation is an ask. And I get that. Like I get like in the contemporary, I'm going to say American, United States, American brain, because that's most of the context of my life. Like that's an ask. Like, and so I love the opportunity of expansiveness with it, and which is why it feels right in my body. But I get that a lot of people, that's like, what is a pronoun? Why can't what? And it doesn't make it. I feel mixed in myself about it sometimes, because I feel like it defeats the quote unquote sometimes purpose of a pronoun. But what is a pronoun? What is the purpose of a pronoun? But like to make it easier so that you don't have to use the proper name all the time, whatever, it makes it much harder to rotate. I get that. Yeah. So I always say, if you can't, just they, just they. If like, you're like, what is this rotation?
What is life?
Yeah. They.
You've got to tell me your astrology, and I'm gonna say we've got a lot of air. We got to have air. We got Gemini or Aquarius or both. It's got to be Aquarius because we're in January.
Yep.
So, okay.
But just barely, right? It's just over the cusp.
It's just over the cusp. Yeah. Just by a few days. So
But that's your sun.
That's my sun. Yeah.
And so moon and rising.
Moon Taurus.
What?
I know. Right? Isn't that fun? Yeah.
Yeah. Ah.
Rising Cancer.
Huh.
Yeah, no, I know. It's a thing. I find it to be a nice balance.
It is a nice balance, but your Aquarius is so out front. It's very present, much more so than, because oftentimes people's rising is what you catch first. It's the energy, right? And I'm like, nah, for me, it's like Aquarius all day.
But in truth, we have not spent as much intimate time together as I would have liked in life, you and I. And so
true.
I think if we did it all, you'd be like, okay, Cancer.
Yeah.
Like there's big emotion up here.
I'm just saying, like, having met each other and spent as minimal time, usually the first thing I would get would be the ambassador sign of the...
Right, you're right.
But hey, man, whatever.
That's very Aquarian of me. I flipped that shit on its head.
All right, so then we were getting to spirituality is what for you, and I'm getting how it's integrated with the work you're doing, but say more about what that means to you. Like,
yeah, I'm extremely tangential. I will real quick. The other part that was important is so that you will understand how spirituality is working with, because the other things I'm working on besides that piece are pieces with someone named Cesar Alvarez, who is an extremely talented, also musical maker that is musical in quotes, but musical. And that shit, as far as like looking at queerness and revolution through art, is very spiritually aligned with my stuff. There's two pieces actually. One is called Noise, which is looking at a group of musicians who understand that the world is made of vibration and energy through vibration and sound, and so want to create the sound and music, therefore, that of the world that they want to see. So that is that, and aligns with my spirituality, I feel. And then the other one is a piece called Potluck, which is actually autobiographical for Cesar. Cesar's parents were really big, and well, still are, but in the communist labor movement in the 70s, there was something called the Greensboro Massacre. 5 of their best friends were killed by KKK and Nazis, state sanctioned. And they were born almost a year later, like almost to the day, and born into this survivor community, and had been commissioned now to create a piece about this. But also then it kind of became more of a piece about queer healing and them coming out as non-binary, and also like, for me, intersectionality of like oppression and struggle. So yes, that aligns with my shit. And so I get to be spiritual. I get to, and their partner is our spiritual advisor on that show. We have a spiritual advisor for the show, which is amazing.
Obsessed with that idea.
Because, and necessary.
I believe it.
Because we're fucking like dealing with like ghosts and spirits, and yeah. And so I find for me, I have to align as much as I can. And actually, why I came to acting in the first place, I've never liked performing really. Like performing is my least favorite part of what we do.
I actually kind of relate to that in a way, but go ahead.
Cassie's face is like this. Cassie goes,
Not
for listeners, right?
the double Gemini 3 in me is like, no.
What?
But who would watch me if I wasn't performing? How would I be watched?
Where is the clapping?
Where's the applause for me in this moment? Go on, you.
So I came to acting and decided like this is my career because of, and at the time I don't even know if I looked at it as spiritual alignment. Now I totally do, because of all the fucking like deep work that you have to do to align yourself in order to go to these extremes of character is how I thought of it when I was in my early 20s. So I was like, yeah, give me the fucking like alignment and give me the practice of alignment so that I can actually like expand in crazy ways, healthily, you know, and have a center to come back to. That's what I thought. So I feel like that stayed with me. And then over the years, I was able to like tip the word spiritual onto that and be like, oh yeah, that's what I'm doing too.
So what is spirituality to you?
Spirituality to me is, I think, just like relationship with spirit, with energy that is outside of myself, acknowledgement of honor of relationship and practice with community with. And yeah, I think the biggest thing is an acknowledgement, and for me becomes also like reverence to and respect for
The all that is, or the energy of consciousness, or
yeah,
the
I think there's
flow
so many words for it, so many English words we use to try to embody it. And I think, yeah, all of that.
Well, for someone whose pronouns are 7 different things, of course, you're going to be a person who's like, which words today or not?
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Yeah.
Now I really want to see your human design chart.
Yeah. Get it up. I feel like I don't know it that well.
Do you know your birth time? You must.
Yes. PM.
I'm just going to pull it up. While I'm pulling it up, oh gosh, how old are you?
So this year was version 4.0 because what right as in that makes sense. No, I mean, whatever.
No, I knew that though. I happen to have known that. So what was the year of the birth? Okay. And the time to the minute? PM.
Mm-hmm.
Can you see this?
Oh yeah, hot. Thank you.
You know, the 2-4 is very special.
Will you tell me why?
Well, it's an incredibly harmonic profile. So the profile, for everybody listening, this is good intel to have. Profile is made of 2 numbers. The number on the left is your personality, your conscious personality number. The number on the right is your unconscious body number. And they say that the 2-4 is the most harmonic relationship between the personality and the body. So oftentimes that which makes a person who they are, or specifically because the profile has to do with the role you play in life. It's like, what is your role in the play of life? I'm a 6-2. I'm the hermit role model. So I end up playing that role in a lot of ways. The 2-4, you have that hermetic quality, but you've got the 4th line body, which is its own thing. My point being, the tension between the 6 and the 2 for me, for example, just to make this point, is what makes me who I am, that tension, that working through that, working with that, right? But in your case, there's less of a tension. They're friends. So your personality is going to be a natural. You're natural at certain things, and you're not meant to bother with or waste your time and energy on anything where you have to like learn it from the ground up. You sort of know stuff and you're going to learn about the stuff you know, but because you already have a natural inclination for them, not because you're like, help, I don't know anything. I'm trying to build a foundation of reality. What is reality? This is like what a first line is doing. They're going, what is reality? Let me learn every single thing and pull it all in so I can make a foundation and understand my reality. Second line comes in with an organic naturalness about certain things. I already know what reality is because in my other incarnation, I've been a first line. So now as a second line, I'm a natural and I'm a hermit. There's a real reluctance for the second line personality to come out of the cave of hermeticism. You have to be called out of the cave. There has to be a strong, true, authentic to you calling that pulls you out of the cave. Otherwise, you're at home hermiting. Now, the fourth line body, this is the unconscious part of you that's in the body. The fourth line has a bunch of interesting qualities about it. So the fourth line is incredibly social. It's like the most social line. So already you see like that's an interesting tension with the hermit and the social. But it can be a very abdicating number. The fourth line can really abdicate to other people's whatever. Similarly, the second line is a Democrat. It's the most democratic line there is, the second line. So second line will often like not want to rock the boat with it. It's like, yes, I'm a liberal. You know what? You do you. Second line's very, you do you, I'm doing me. I don't need to have a fight about it. And then, but the fourth line has a relationship between meanness and niceness. So the fourth line's main MO is give to the community so that when you need from the community, they are there for you. So the fourth line is all about social connection and community for the purpose of like giving to it so that its back is protected when it needs its back protected, which of course can sound very self-involved, but like everything is when you look at it really at the end of the day. So we don't want to judge ourselves. We just acknowledge. So the relationship between meanness and kindness comes in because fourth line's baseline sort of default mode is like, I'm not ruffling the feathers. I'm not rocking the boat because I need these people here when I need them. But when a fourth line gets challenged too much, when the foundation they've built for themselves is disregarded or devalued, they will get mean as fuck and it will come out of nowhere and people will be like, who the fuck is that? Mm-hmm. Where'd that come from? Because I'm so used to this person being the one who brings us together, the party facilitator, the social coordinator, the togetherness one, that the meanness can be a little bit of a shock when it comes out. So the word associated with it is the opportunist. So you're a hermit opportunist.
Right.
Anyway, so that's the role you'll play.
I knew the basics of those things from talks with Rami. I had thought in my head when I'd seen it, I thought it was opposite. I thought it was a 4-2. Is that a thing? Can people be a 4-2?
You know, I can't answer that. I don't know. Let's look it up.
I thought that my unconscious bit was my hermit bit.
Not according to this.
Right.
I mean, if we put your numbers in correctly, then I don't think there's a 4-2. No, it's a 2-4. Anyway, so that's the profile, but most relevant here, I think, I don't know why this pops for you. You probably know already you have sacral authority.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so that's just like a nice, simple gut answer, a gut response. Is it a yes? Is it a no? Or is it I don't know yet? And it's in your gut and you'll feel it. And the simplest way to simplify these decisions for ourselves as a generator with sacral authority would be to say, do I have energy for that? Do I have energy for that? And your body will go, no. Or it'll go, yeah. And that's it.
Mm-hmm.
Now, your split definition, though, so oftentimes this island of definition here, where your sacral is connected very clearly to your root, which is connected to your spleen, is separate right here from this island of definition, where your G center connected to the throat, which is what do you identify as, what do you love or hate, and what is your direction in life? You have a direct line to your throat. So you know what you love and what you don't love. You know what you identify and what you don't identify as. And you have words to say about that are clear to you and consistent and reliable. But this part of you is disconnected from this part. So it can often feel like there's two cats in a bag inside of you. And that's what we call split definition, is this island can't hear this island as clearly. So when you get with certain people who bridge your split, right, you're going to feel a more cohesive internal experience of like, oh, I feel more whole now. And my G-center throat relationship can hear and feel and talk with and contribute information to my sacral knowing, my energy to do stuff, and my intuition.
Yeah.
The mind is fully irrelevant for you. Bye-bye. Uninteresting, totally irrelevant. Anything that goes through here is just noises.
Mm-hmm.
And you're free to be emotionally neutral and tell the truth. And you're free to give up. So the need to prove anything is irrelevant in this lifetime for you. You got no gates and channels hanging off this ego or the head. So the pressure to think will always be there, but it's the not self that says, I can't figure it out. I have to figure it out. The not self of the open head is, I got to figure this out. But the freedom of the open head is, I'm free to not think ever again.
Love that.
The not self of the open ajna is, believing in certainty. I'm anxious until I have certainty. But the freedom of the open ajna is, I'm free to be uncertain. So you're free to not think and be uncertain. Meanwhile, with this open ego, the not self, you know what I mean when I say not self?
Yeah.
Okay. The not self is, when I feel hurt, envy, lack, I'm going to get busy proving I have worth and value, But the freedom is I'm free to give up. I don't have to prove anything to anybody. And then you've got the open solar plexus, which is I'm free to be emotionally neutral and tell the truth. But the not self will say, don't rock the boat, no conflict, avoid conflict at all costs. And also it'll be empty and overwhelmed sometimes. So you're free to not think ever again. You're free to be uncertain because you will be forever. You're free to give up, and you're free to be emotionally neutral and tell the truth. All while you're busy following strategy and authority, which is or And we could really say the simpler way to say all of that is like, none of this is relevant and it's all distraction. All that matters is what does the gut say and what do you love?
So if that shit had color in it, would I be like, I'm not free to not think? Just does that question make sense?
With this one?
If the head is filled?
Yeah. So okay, great question. So there's a lot to say about that. So first of all, when you have an open center, what it means is it's not that you don't have a brain or you can't ever listen to your brain. It's that the way you think is inconsistent and unreliable. It also means the way you think is incredibly creative because you can think in any way that anyone says, think about it this way. You'll be like, okay, or I'll think about it that way. Somebody with definition in the head thinks one way and they think about only certain things they're interested in thinking about. If you're like, well, you could look at it like this, they're like, but why would you? You wouldn't look at it like that. You'd look at it like this. And for those of us here, all of us here, I think have open head, right? Cass, you have open head?
And Ajna, yeah.
And Ajna. So the three of us have that. And Rami has that. We are very, very creative. But the challenge of the open centers is you can get pulled into the not self much more easily than where you have definition. Because where you have definition, you are functioning in a fixed, consistent, reliable way, whether you like it or not. You're pretty rigid. You're pretty fixed there. They even call it's a fixation. Where you have definition, you're fixated. But where you have openness, you're totally flexible. And therefore, by definition, inconsistent and unreliable. So use it for inspiration, but not for decision-making for what's correct for you. So to answer your question, if this were filled in, you'd be someone who was like, well, I think about creative projects in this way. I'm doing this because of this, and here's why. And you'll do this, and I'll go over here, and you'll do that because that's how I think.
Gotcha.
And then Ajna people have a lot of certainty around stuff. They get very like, if you calculate it and think about it this way. So you can think of the head is the part that asks a question. The Ajna is the part that calculates the answer. But for people with open Ajna, there is no certainty. So every time you're waiting for certainty, you're functioning from the not self because there isn't any. Yeah. So the only certainty really, and it's not certain, is to follow your strategy and authority, which isn't going to bring you certainty, but it will bring you to, you would say, like correct, aligned experiences that take you forward in the trajectory of your correct life for you.
For the listener, El was shaking his head up and down, really aggressively.
Nodding ferociously.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's such a good reminder. Yeah. It's a good reminder there right now. Thank you.
Yeah. Anyway, there's a lot of other good stuff here, but that's some good gistiness. Let's look at one other thing and then we can stop. So the incarnation cross, okay, speaks to kind of what your day-to-day life is filled with. What does your day-to-day life look like? Another way I like to express it is like, if you think of the profile as the role you're playing in the play of life, the incarnation cross is the flavor of expression that you take on when you're being who you really are. So if I were to cast 2 productions of Romeo and Juliet, and I put Rosie O'Donnell as Juliet over here, and I put Renee Zellweger as Juliet over here, same role, different flavor. The flavor would be the incarnation cross. So your incarnation cross is really interesting. Right angle cross of the unexpected. Your cross has the energy to bump into the unexpected and bring something forward through this experience. What you bring forward is not known at the time of the experience. Your energy will drive you to have expectations about what will become of this discovery, but these expectations may not be met. There is an old commercial where a man eating chocolate bumps into a woman eating peanut butter. The fantasy reveals the product Reese's peanut butter cups, and as you probably know, this seemingly unexpected event rendered a successful outcome, although the combination could have easily tasted awful. You're here to make the discovery and bring it forward. Expect the unexpected in your life.
Yes, I've read this before, and every time the Reese's this fucking analogy makes me.
It's so silly. Yeah, it's very silly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Does it resonate though?
Most deaf. Yeah.
I mean, as an outside observer, as someone who's known you on and off for a really long time, that would be a really good gut experience of how I experience you as a character of like, I actually don't quite know you, like, because you are unexpected in what you're bringing, but it's always a joy to know what it is. Like you're bringing this flavor of like, well, what's this about?
Right.
Yeah.
And it never tastes bad.
Right. Hey, that's nice. It's not the Reese's peanut.
And sometimes it's like, oh, I did not think that would work.
Those are but it's not poop filled.
No, it's actually that worked.
It's working. Yeah. Okay, great. Fantastic. That's nice to hear. Thanks, Cass.
Yeah, sometimes that's just fashion, like, what are you wearing? Oh my God, that totally works.
Right. That's a true story. Thank you.
So the only last thing I feel like saying when I look at this design is this will be a design that has the pressure to think a lot. And the thinking is only useful in terms of like, does it add inspiration and creativity? The only advice would be, don't use the thinking to make the choices. Use the thinking to explore possibilities inside of creative endeavors.
Right.
That's all it's for in your design.
Yes.
If now to your original question too, if you had definition in the head and ajna, we would say you use the fixedness of that to serve others. You don't use it to make your own decisions still.
Oh.
Nobody uses head and ajna it's not an authority center, ever.
Gotcha.
So you either have a fixed, reliable way of functioning in your head and ajna that you're meant to use to guide the people, or you have open head and ajna or some combination therein, which is used to be open and creative and explore inspiration. None of it is to decide your life.
That's cool.
Which is like the main shift of all humanity. And this is where, even though there can be a lot of bullshit spiritual conditioning in the spiritual systems, one of the pieces that spirituality has right is your mind does not have the answers for you. That's just consistent across the board.
Yeah.
And human design adds the element, thank you, helpful element of what does.
Right.
Strategy and authority.
Real. Okay.
Yeah.
That's so interesting.
Remember too, just FYI, when you have open solar plexus, if you get real emotional about something, you can 9 times out of 10 ask yourself who in this room is emotional, whose emotions I'm amplifying, because you don't have a fixed, consistent way of emoting. And it doesn't mean you're not going to have your own feelings. Open center people have their own feelings, open solar plexus. But if it's big, you can look at like, where am I standing and who around me might I be amplifying? Because a lot of what goes on for you emotionally is not going to be yours.
Interesting.
Open ego, also very inconsistent, not great at making promises and shouldn't be. You only commit when you've got energy. And if that's tomorrow after the deadline, that's tomorrow after the deadline. If you commit too much with open ego, you're just trying to prove you have worth and value, which is the not self of the open ego, and it's not you. The end. So spirituality for you, I'm going to say it back to you to see if I heard you correctly, is a relationship with the energies of consciousness beyond your small self S.
Yeah. Yeah.
Something like that.
So I guess I need to clarify in hearing you say that. Spirituality for me, so that means that's not how I'm defining spirituality for all beings. That's like my relationship very specifically with. Yeah, then yes. Yep. And I think the other important piece of that is the practice.
What is the practice for you?
Oh, there's a lot of different things.
Tell me.
It can be I think it's something where I've always wanted to deepen in community and have found. I have a spiritual friend who was just like, oh yeah, you don't have your circle yet. Like I was like, yeah, I have individuals.
Yeah.
I don't have a consistent circle yet.
And you want that.
I want that. I want it and circle. I mean, I can make a circle from me to all these individuals that, but I want us all. I think it's my communal natureness.
Mm-hmm.
Because I grew up going to Catholic church and every Sunday we go out of town, we go to fucking church. Like,
oof.
Yeah. So, and it fucked me up in all the ways. And also a piece that it gave me was the beauty of some act of spirituality in communion, meaning in community, and the power of collective spiritualism. So that is something I think I've always hankered for since I was like fuck you, Catholicism, and don't have that yet. But it's me just, I guess it's me aligning with universe. So that can take place in various forms, from meditating to being in like conversation specifically about spirituality with another person that is on, a wavelength, either similar or not, like discussion, like verbal about it, or like not, like being in spiritual space with another person, and not having words about it, or me talking about McDonald's fries with someone. I don't, it could, that could also be a spiritual practice. Like I feel like it drops in. And also like how synchronicity plays in my life, I feel like is another kind of like, and my noticing of like everything is synchronicity to me. Like I did Artist Way with, there's a group of friends, including Rami, that we read the book Artist Way together. And one of the, big takeaways from that is like, find the synchronicity in your life. And like everyone else in the group, like people needed to like write reminders for themselves. People like we needed to check in about it, being like, oh yeah, like, okay. And have accountability about. And to me, I'm like fucking like when I don't get the chocolate croissant that I wanted and the person in front of me at the bakery got it, I'm like, well, synchronicity. And like
they were meant to have it for this reason.
They were meant to have it. And I was, like, because I was questioning, like, maybe I want this kind of like my mouth wants this, but it's not good for my belly right now. Like I don't need it, but I'm still, like, and so I was like, well, when universe takes away decision from me, which is one of my favorite things in the entire world.
Totally.
I'm like, yeah, synchronicity. That's it. Like, yeah.
How else does it show up in your reality? Does it show up a lot? It happens all the time?
It's constant. It's everything I do. Or not that I do. Everything. I feel like, yes. Yeah. Like almost everything going throughout the day that happens. It's like, well, synchronicity. Like.
Okay. So Enneagram 4?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Social 4.
Okay. Yeah. Just guessing. Just figured.
Yeah. That's it.
That makes sense.
What is that one with this? What rang for you?
Just talking to you. I'm like, oh, that's a 4.
Oh, yeah. That's it.
Remember too, with open head and ajna, what you're hearing is the thoughts and feelings of others. Mm-hmm. That's why it's not a place to make choices from for you.
That's real.
You're just an open antenna, hearing everything everyone's thinking and feeling and doing. So that's fun because you can get psychic downloads, but it's also just totally all over the place. And it's fun because it's creative as hell. People say to me all the time after they see me do improv, where did you come up? That was so what? And I'm like, it's just everything's possible. So I was a gorilla in that scene. I don't know. But I think it's people with defined head and ajna asking the question, or some combination therein a lot of the time, or people with just a ton of conditioning on their open head and ajna. What would you say has been the impetus for, or the catalyst for you? I bet I could guess, but to do all the deconditioning you've done. In other words, you don't seem like someone who's very caught in the not self.
Oh, that's interesting. I would be like, I totes am caught in the nuts. What inspired me to do the deconditioning? I think I've just always, and I'm curious where this is in my chart. I've always pushed myself to my growth. My favorite / most torturous place to live is on the growing edge. I'm constantly striving to be on the growing edge. I'm always like, what can I do to make this a growth thing for me? Like everything that comes, like no matter what I'm involved in, anything I'm doing on daily, like where is that line that I'm going to be learning something or growing something or bettering somehow? Like, how am I going to be a better citizen of the universe in this action? So that's always been a drive. That's a gut driving factor. So I think there's that, but I guess that's kind of like the base.
So it's intrinsic.
Yeah.
Cool. I love that. That's nice. Because, so many people that you interact with, like, don't have that drive.
Yeah, as much as I don't, like, as I was saying, like, the Catholicism and growing up, I think the thing about just growing up in a religion with my family, like, as a familial practice, that there was something around, besides just practicing spirituality in community, like around learning some sort of like moral compass, or learning some sort of recognition of a grander thing that is deep in me, and recognition of like uplifting humanity. I'm not saying that those religions actually teach that or do that, but however I received it, however it was given to me, besides all the other, fucked up worthlessness shit that I absorbed from it, or that it was reinforced by it, it helped. I think there are parts of that gave me that drive.
I have to show you one more thing while I'm listening to you. I'm looking at this and something to understand. These two, so, okay, as important in the design of a person as which centers are defined, center, are the channels that are defined. So they resonate with a potency and an intensity that is, you could say that in one's design, the Elbeh-ness of Elbeh is where you're defined. So what is defined also in addition to the centers are the channels, these lines that go all the way across, right? So these two are tribal channels, interestingly. This is an individual channel, and I forget what the 952 is. The 952 is collective. Okay, so you have a little balance there, but you have two big channels that are tribal. And tribal circuitry is about material possessions, the family, the neighbors, the people closest to you.
Mm-hmm.
It's not about the vast collective of all the people. It's about your tribe. So you have like a fair amount of heavy tribal influence in your circuitry. You also have this impotent individual circuit here, the 8-1, which has to do with what you love and how you express what you love, who you are and how you express who you are. And then you have one collective circuit down here, the 952. So the combination of all that becomes the expression of Elbeh, where there's going to be a lot of focus on the tribal. There's going to be a very individual flavor to that also has an interest in serving the collective.
That's interesting. That's really interesting. Because it's always like I was never able to make sense of my life as an individual, or I was always a microcosm of a grander whole. So no matter what it only made sense, or I could only find motivation in thinking of myself as a piece of something larger, whether that be, like a smaller community or the world. Some
of that to me sounds like somebody who's split definition, meaning like you just don't get a sense of coherence. You just don't have like, okay, I belong and I'm doing what I do, unless you're in community or in part of or in relationship to. So there's some of that there. But anyway, we could do a deeper dive at some point on each of these channels and what they mean and what they're about. But that's that. So we only have a couple minutes here. Often we go into the records, but I just realized what time it is and I can't. But you're in class, so you're getting a bunch of...
Oh, that was something that you brought up earlier that I like. So the last class, you were like, are you a person that your brain... You did so many hand things last class that I was like, yes, thank you for the hands. Like they're embedded in me that I'm like, that's where it makes sense. Yes, my thing right now is this, but you're like, your head does this. And then I was like, maybe, but with this particular thing, I don't know. And then like after leaving obviously I was like, okay, yeah, that's what's happening. There was this, there's my head does that constantly with lots of things, but.
Well, that's what I meant. It's constant and it's all the time. Yeah.
Not necessarily with the one circumstance that was coming up. Okay.
No.
I hadn't felt it with the one circumstance, but I realized I was doing it with what was in that.
When you're talking about that, this has come up recently with some other people, for myself. Are you saying that like your mind is always occupied and constantly calculating and constantly running and constantly...
And like analyzing and overanalyzing the things and my part in the things and my growing edge of the things and how can I be, like what it's, what could I do differently or what was I?
Yeah.
Except, yeah.
I mean, I don't have that's a regret analysis and stuff like that I know that is true for some people. But I was just curious to hear, like, talking to someone else who's like, no, my brain literally rarely talks.
Mm.
And, they deal with their feelings. They're like, they hear things almost in a sense in their gut, or in their heart. And I'm just like, I can't even fathom that idea.
Mm.
Because that's how my brain works. How are you not constantly thinking about what you just said or what was said? And what the sound of it was and the analysis of the possibility of the matrix of the thing. And that there are actually people who don't do that.
Who don't have.
And I don't know what it's like to just experience something in my body only. And some people do that.
Yeah, because I have both. I do fully both.
That's awesome.
Like I definitely, like my body talks loud too. So yeah.
Just a reminder, all of that is the not self.
Yeah.
None of it is relevant. So when it's running, you can say to yourself, literally none of this is helping me in any way. And then you can choose to drop into the body and go, what do I know from my gut? Oh, I need to go to the grocery store. And it makes you very present because all there is now in the body. In the mind, there's the past, the present, and the future. But there's no past, present, or future. When you're present, there's just the body. So my point being, it could be part of one's spiritual practice to disengage with believing any noises you hear through your head hole. That would be a way toward more peace and more, as a generator, which you are, more satisfaction. Because all of what you're doing is useless and gets you nowhere, and there's no answer to those questions. Another way in with that one is to ask oneself, this comes up a lot in class, when you're there, what feeling am I avoiding feeling? Because you're always 100%, if you're ruminating, avoiding an uncomfortable feeling. So if you were to sit into that feeling and process that, you would get to the other side of the feeling and be free. And that's literally what we're doing in the energy work at the end of the class, is processing feelings that are hard for people to process on their own. But I also like to say these words because you can have this every moment if you want it. If you want peace and satisfaction, you don't have to listen to that brain ever again. You're free to not think, and you're free to be uncertain. I can't figure it out, I got to figure it out, is total conditioning. And you know what they teach too? It's the ultimate distraction from the purpose of your life. When we listen to the not self, we are distracted from the purpose of our lives. Your purpose is found simply in your sacral response. The noises in your head are designed to pull you out of your purpose. But the problem is the world we live in lauds the mind above all else. So we think we're doing some noble, smart, intelligent thing when we live in the head. Mm-hmm. We're being erudite and intelligent and whatever else.
Right. That's yummy. Oh, that's so yummy.
I'll take it. Well, I love you. Thank you for coming on.
Oh my God. Thank you so much.
Happy birthday week or 2 weeks. It's like a whole thing.
It's good. Yeah, it's a thing. Yeah.
Do you have another event coming up what's your next big party plan?
The next one is going to a weekend getaway in Ellenville. People were like, why Ellenville, New York? And then they heard the reason and they're like, that's not a reason, but we're going there. Oh,
what's the reason?
Well, the original reason was because I heard that there's a place where you can go tubing where they pull you up the hill and it's like $12. And then you slide down and they pull you up. You don't got to walk up a hill.
Isn't it cold?
I mean, it's like tubing. You got to go in the snow.
Not water tubing.
Oh, I thought you meant water tubing.
No.
I was like, that's crazy.
Also, I think maybe it's not called tubing. I might just be calling it that.
Sledding?
No, you do it on an inner tube though. It's called inner tubing.
Okay, there we go. Thank you.
Inner tube sledding.
Those of us from California saying.
Well, tubing is what all the camp people would say about what they did on the river in the summer.
Oh, yeah,
we went tubing.
That I think can also be tubing, but that was one reason. And then someone said I could find a cheap house there, which is what I found. So
where is Ellenville? Is it north of the?
Ellenville, it's like north. It's like going up. It's like up the Hudson.
Sweet.
Yeah, it's up the Hudson, and there's like a farmhouse I got.
Nice.
That sounds so fun. I love a good weekend getaway with just a bunch of people in a house. That's just...
And a hot tub. Hot tub is...
What a joy.
Hot tub.
Games and food.
Yeah. And dancing and just, you cook like a part of a meal, and then you just get fed with good food all weekend long from everyone else cooking things. It's good. Yeah. Yep.
You have a goddamn good time.
Thank you so much, friends. You have a goddamn good week. I feel so...
Okay.
I've been taking everything as a present for an Akashic holiday. So this is a present for me. I was like, when you asked me to do it, I was like, yes, birthday week.
Fuck yeah, perfect.
Getting answers.
So happy actual birthday yesterday.
True story. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thanks for coming on, love.
Love you.
Thank you so much. Love you.
Everybody do your work.
Do all the work.
I'm hanging up. I love you, Cass.
Okay, bye.
Bye, guys.
What are you asking for? All of the answers? Say what? All of the answers? Yeah, all the answers.
Hey guys, thanks for listening. We'd love to hear from you. Please email us with your questions so that we have questions to answer in the Akashic Records. Our email address is allanswerspod@gmail.com. That's allanswerspod@gmail.com. And if you'd like to find us on Facebook or Twitter, it's @allanswerspod, @allanswerspod. Thank you.
Edit this part out because I have a question for Katie that I don't think we want on the podcast.
Also, another edit point.
Mixed and edited by Desmond McNeese for We Mixed It, LLC. Go to whatsoundsawesome.com.
End edit point.